Hi, this is George Alger, and welcome to today's segment of Our Ventura TV. Today's topic is performance art, and our guest expert is Cynthia Waring, who is a performance art teacher. Welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you, George. I'm happy to be here.
It's awesome to have you, and let's just jump right into the topic. So what is performance art?
Well, it's a type of performance, and the type I teach is memoir-based. So you could do something like on Mark Twain, but my performance art is coming from your own life. So it's a topic that is near and dear to your heart, that perhaps you want to express about what it's been like being you, what it's been like for you to go through something in particular, and to create art out of it.
Cool. So what disciplines does performance art embrace? I mean, it sounds like it could be music and singing and perhaps dance. What else?
All of those, if you have practiced those, if they are part of who you are, would be fine. But it could be that you were a housewife, or you were a student, or you were anything that you happen to be, and to allow somebody to see what it's been like to be you. And you go into the topic so deeply that people see themselves in the art. So it's about going deeply into something, not about being anything in particular. I created a whole show out of being a masseuse. I was a masseuse for 37 years. Nobody would think that was interesting at all, and I really didn't either until I started writing about it. And when I started writing about it, I saw what I was living. And what I was living, I was finding out about life itself, about humanity, about what we all go through, and the universality of being a human being and what we all have in common. So it isn't so much about being something extraordinary. It's about using what you have in an extraordinary way.
Wow, that's pretty profound.
Well, I have found performance art to be that, yes.
Okay, now I'm still trying to grasp this. It's a pretty broad statement there, a very lovely statement, by the way. I have seen some performance art in the past, and it was more of perhaps a dance poetry kind of thing, but this, what you're stating, is broader than that. So, for instance, let's just pick a student as an example. How would that be represented in performance art?
Well, it would depend on what the student was studying, or where he came from to be a student. Like he would, maybe nobody in his family had ever been to college, or maybe they were a foreigner and only spoke as, you know, they didn't speak English well, or it could, whatever it happened to be. What I have discovered is that life has created each one of us into the most unusual person. And so you are finding out, as an artist, using your own life as your subject matter. You're using your life as your subject to find out what life has given you to say.
Wow, that is so beautiful. I still want to try to take it down to something a little more concrete. So let's continue with the student example.
Okay.
And you pick the criteria or the circumstances surrounding the student, but how might this life of the student be conveyed as an art form in performance art?
Okay. So you might find out or start by writing about what you wanted to be, what you envisioned what going to school might be, what your dreams of going to school might be.
So it's writing.
Writing it, and then find out what happened. Like what is it like being in school? And usually it's in conflict with your dreams. There's so much work to getting from point A to a degree and then having the life of your dreams.
So perhaps integrating some drama.
So integrating, exactly, the drama. So what I end up doing is picking a part of my life, writing it out, memorizing it. And the memorizing, there are certain things you can write, but certain things you can't say that you've written. So the memorizing of what you said gives you so much more insight into the material. And then you might want to find a piece of music that fits the subject. So what it's like being in school. And all of a sudden a whole world will start to open up that you never imagined about a day in school.
Okay, so I can see how this is also a journey of self-discovery.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so we have writing, and that could certainly, or does embrace stories, and in this case it could include drama, it could include music. And would all or most performance art include some type of oratory presentation?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's fundamental. Okay.
I would say it was storytelling
Okay.
from a personal point of view,
Okay.
adding other elements.
Good. All right. So
Okay.
now I think.
So you might want to dance,
Okay.
or you might want to, you might be in school to become a veterinarian when your father wanted you to be a general in the military. So you would have that drama to add to it. There's always conflict. There's always something extraordinary. And if there wasn't, that would be extraordinary. If you were the most boring valley girl, be a boring valley girl and find something extraordinary about being that. You could do that with clothes or with whatever it is that you were, and then you would understand who you were.
Good. So I have a better picture now of performance art, and this is perhaps a perfect time to segue into a piece that you're going to do for us. So this is a performance art piece that features poetry.
Yes.
Okay. So is there anything you'd like to comment on about that before you present it?
Well, this was the poem that I wrote as I was writing my book called Bodies Unbound, about what it was like to be a masseuse for 37 years, and stories of my clients, and how people would remember things on my table, and I go, oh my God, that happened to me. And it was how we went back and forth healing each other. And I wrote a whole book about this and my clients. And then I turned it into a one-woman show. And I performed it from LA to Edinburgh, Scotland. It was in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. So I learned through experience what it was like to be a performance artist, and it just happened. And now I teach what I found out about how to do it, but through doing it, not going to school.
Okay. Well, fantastic. So let's hear it now.
Okay. I never meant to be a masseuse. If someone had asked me, what do you want to be? I never would have thought of it. I've given over 30,000 massages in the last 37 years, arriving at the doors of strangers with my table, sheets, and oil. All colors, shapes, and sizes, from movie stars to babies. Old women dying of cancer, no breasts. Men from war, no legs. I've been a masseuse to young girls as a present from their mothers, like some initiation rite. I've been a present to lovers on birthdays, coming to their house with balloons tied to my bag. I've massaged in hospitals, country clubs, beauty parlors, exercise salons, hotels, out by swimming pools getting sunstroke, in bedrooms getting scared. I've had jets sent for me by the rich, and a man who kept calling to ask if I'd beat him. I've massaged women who have just been raped, a mother who lost her only daughter. A soap opera queen cried every time I touched her. She couldn't tell me why. All kinds of people have remembered every kind of emotional or physical abuse on my table, which made me remember mine. I didn't plan this trip, this journey through the bodies of Earth. No, I never meant to be a masseuse.
So that was beautiful. Can you give us some insight into how you came about writing that?
Well, after massaging over 30,000 people, it felt like I had all of them inside me. And I needed to come up with something to get them out of me and onto the paper. And it was such a healing process, writing it and then performing it. And I discovered what healing possibilities there are with performance art. When you're in front of an audience telling of something very deep and meaningful to you, the energy of the audience almost takes you back to that moment so that it can be healed. And I found other performance artists have had the same experience as I did. It was almost like a soul retrieval, you know, where you go back and you take back part of yourself that had been in conflict, that hadn't been resolved yet. And that's the healing aspect of performance art.
It does sound healing. It does sound spiritual. Well said.
Yes, it is. I consider it so.
Well, we're out of time here, so before we close the show, is there a way viewers could find out more information? And do you have a summating message you'd like to convey to the viewers?
Well, I think whether you want to be an artist or whether you really want to be a performer or not, this can help with any kind of healing. It's beyond therapy. It is cathartic to those who are hearing your stories, and it's so important for us to tell our stories. We know more about movie stars and politicians than we do ourselves often, or our grandmothers. And this is a way for our stories to be heard. And I think it's so important now.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. This is George Alger signing off for this segment of Our Ventura TV. Until we meet again.